All right, page one. What was the Great Strike of 1877? In the summer of 1877, a nationwide upheaval brought the U.S. to a standstill. 80,000 railroad workers stopped work. All right, as you'll see in the video, led by Zepp, a brakeman. Hundreds of thousands of other Americans soon followed, and that's what makes it a general strike, right? If one industry or workplace goes on strike and others go on strike in solidarity, and it begins to spread throughout a whole city or a whole state or throughout the whole region or nation, that's what makes it a general strike. So hundreds of thousands of other Americans, not even working on the railroad, soon followed. It was America's first national strike or general strike. Many observers thought a second American Revolution was at hand. The strike began in Martinsburg, West Virginia, on July 16 and spread along the rail lines. During the next 2 weeks, strikers took over Pittsburgh, Chicago, and St. Louis and exercised new power in scores of smaller cities, such as Hornersville, New York, and Louisville, Kentucky. The Great Strike of 1877 marked the end of America's first century and the beginning of a new age of industrial conflict and change. So with the rise of big business came also the rise of unions. All right, and remember at that point, workers and owners had opposite interests, right? So the interest of the owner is to pay the worker as little as possible and get him or her to work as fast as possible. All right. The worker, on the other hand, wants the maximum amount of pay and to work as slowly as possible or as reasonably as possible in his mind or her mind. So by striking and rioting on a massive scale, ordinary Americans launched a new debate over the meaning of equality. Who should reap the benefits of the industrial age? And that was a significant question. All right, that comes out of this, right? So after the Civil War, when big business begins to emerge significantly, and massive amounts of wealth were being accumulated, but the lion's share of it was going towards the top. All right. So workers saw themselves kind of being pushed into the factories, off of the farms, out of the artisanal shops, the storefronts, all right, that we learned about earlier in the year. All right. They observed their loss of freedom that comes with it, their dependence on someone else for their livelihood. But they also noticed that this massive wealth being accumulated, and they were not really getting much of it. All right. So that becomes a major clash between the workers and owners, or labor and capital.